Well, a tip of the cap to you. Thank you for joining us here on the Pilot Money Guys podcast, where we talk about some aviation news and aim to bring you some lighthearted financial fun. I'm your host, wealth manager, former Air Force Heavy pilot, now major airline captain, Robert, the Rubber Mallet Eklund. That's a call sign I think I gave myself, Charlie. I don't know, but it's going to work for us
That's right.
today. Of course, joined by a certified financial planner and former Air Force fighter pilot and major airline pilot, Charlie Mattingly, call sign the Godfather. Welcome, Godfather.
All right. Thanks, Rubber Mallet. Thanks for not throwing in there the mighty tweet driver. But that was
I
part of
love
my
the
history.
tweet.
Part of my history
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. And of course, we have, not of course, but we have the augmented crew today with CFP, PFS, CPA, all around good guy, the professor, Kevin Gormley. Welcome, Professor.
Yeah, I've been getting a lot of flight time on the podcast here. So
Yeah.
thank you for
That's right.
allowing me to come in.
Yeah.
But, the call sign thing, we talk so much about the call sign thing, and the last guest gave himself a call sign. So I don't know, does everybody give themselves a call sign or get a call sign?
I'll allow it. Charlie wouldn't allow it, but I'll allow it.
It was too good. I didn't know what to say. I was like, that's really good.
Yeah. We're like, no, you can't. That was good.
That was really good. I don't know anything better.
I love it. Well, here we go. Aviation news. We've got an Atlas incident where they had a fire in one of the engines, it looks like. And if you haven't seen the video, check it out, because it's kind of, Kevin, you were talking about it. It looks, if nothing else, it's a good video.
Mm-hmm.
But they were flying out of Miami, I believe, and had a softball-sized hole in one of the parts of the fuselage just after the number 2 engine there, and turned around, came back. Nice job to the pilots, landed safely. All is well there. In other news, we have the. Go ahead, Kevin. Sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, just before we get any hate mail, that it's only an interesting video because no one died, no one got burned. So so anyway, Rob, go ahead.
Yeah, it's kind of visually captivating, I would say. But
Yes,
anyways,
yes.
going on to the 737 MAX 9, still having issues there. The FAA's recommended flight operators check other models of the Boeing airplanes as well. So on January 1st, the FAA issued a statement recommending operators of the 737-900ER visually inspect mid-exit door plugs to ensure the door is properly secured. In a statement late Sunday night there again, the January 21st, Boeing said it fully supports the FAA and our customers in this action. And I believe they were, a lot of them, United and Delta, were proactively inspecting those doors as well. But they did mention that the 737-900ER has over 11 million hours of operation and 3.9 million flight cycles. And the door plug has not been an issue. So just something to note for the traveling public there. Major airlines that fly the 900ER, Alaska, Delta, and United. So that's it. You guys got anything else on aviation news you want to dive into?
Too busy with all this contract stuff to pay attention to.
Yes.
Flying. What
Yeah.
the heck?
Flying. What are we talking about? Yeah. And this is Southwest Contract Special is what I'm calling it. We might come up with a better name in post-production here. But break. This podcast is brought to you by Leading Edge Financial Planning. Okay, folks, let's bring it down a notch and get real for a second. Kevin loves to get real for a second. Mm-hmm. What are your values in life? Is your money aligned with those values? How is your money optimized to achieve your goals and dreams? If you would like some help with putting all of this together and putting your armies of dollar bills to work for you, give Charlie a call at 865-240-2292, option 2, or Kevin, option 1, because he's number 1 in our hearts.
Mm-hmm. And mine.
Call Charlie. Call Charlie.
Call me 719-624-7055. I didn't say option 7 because it's too far down the line. Okay, enough. Back to the show here. Southwest contract. Anyone want to start us off? You want me to do a little brief overview?
Brief overview. Congrats on the long, difficult, challenging road being over with. I think to me, that's a big deal. I did not like being part of contract negotiations. This is really hard. Morale's a little low. It's a battle. So I'm just glad for everybody that's over with.
Here. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's always tough. Jumping into an airline and you hear all the rah and you're going through new hire, and
Yeah.
then you get out there and they're going through contract
Oh,
negotiations. It's like
man.
it's not even the same airline you
It's
thought you got hired by. So
yeah.
it helps.
Hopefully everybody's morale is a little bit better and people are a little bit, or at least enjoying the flying job again. You know, you're flying for a living, you got to be able to enjoy it. But sometimes it's hard when you're going through that stuff. So we get it.
So Rob, I know the contract wasn't perfect, but I think it came in at like 92 for and some a number against. I think maybe 92.7.
Yeah.
What are the most typical? Do most contracts pass by that much, or is this kind of extraordinary?
I think that's a pretty high one myself. I don't have the numbers, but just
Yeah.
from the last one or the last two I was a part of there,
Yeah.
it wasn't near this high.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, 2016. In fact, the first TA failed. You know,
Yeah.
I think that's probably closer to the standard. Quite frankly, is like the first round doesn't go, and you go back to the negotiating table like FedEx is right now. But I tell you what, I think the economy, the pilot shortage, the writing is on the wall for these major airlines. Like, quite frankly, there's a lot of leverage as a pilot right now, and I think that showed with the big four, if you will, passenger airlines anyway.
Yeah, I agree. The big deal with this contract, obviously, not obviously, for Southwest folks, obviously they're going to know this, but it was a complete rewrite, which was important because we were working under decades old language that has now been firmed up with new notes taken. So the intent of every section attempts to be cleared up with many uncertainties now being firmed for both the company and the pilot. So I think that's important. 53% of the 3,000 line items changed. Improvements in compensation, retirement, disability, scheduling rules, benefits, among others, which we're not obviously going to go into all of those. We're going to take more of the financial tilt here, but I'm going to say kudos to both SWAPA and Southwest. They have a lot of great information about this contract out there, both on SWA Life and SWAPA.org and in their other communications. So even if you're not a Southwest person, you probably heard from both the company and SWAPA on what is in this contract, which I think it's pretty safe to say is industry leading for 737 pilots and has corrected a lot of the perceived wrongs in the past contract. So kudos to them, but we're going to focus more on the financial perspective than some of the other
Yeah,
things.
Rob, just one more comment. You know, like all of the majors, I think, are done now, and you know, so now it's time to start getting jealous of the other pilots from the other companies. I'm just kidding, but you know, it just appears that they all kind of landed very similarly in many aspects, especially pay, and then the differences are not as grand as they were in the past. At least that's my perception of it. Do you guys agree?
Yeah,
I think it's
I
a
think
fair
that's
statement. Yeah.
pretty fair.
Yeah.
The let's talk compensation first. Charlie, you want
Let's
to talk
do it.
compensation?
Sure. Although, I mean, I have the numbers in front of me, you know, and I know it's great. Competitive, I should say. It seems like for the other airplanes of similar airplanes at other airlines. So that's a good thing. And I have my biggest thing is Southwest pilots capture this delta, capture this difference.
Yes.
Let's do something with it. Don't let it, you know, don't let it get away from you. Because I think a lot of captains, we've done the math. And depending on how much they're flying, I'm thinking, man, this is 5, 6, 7,000 a month more. So get that, capture it, do something productive with it, put those army of dollar bills to work, as the rubber mallet says.
Yes, I love it. I love it. And those numbers, you know, they touted this, but 50% increase over the life of the contract, 29.15%. It's already snapped up. It was effective January 1st, and then 4% over 2025, 26, 27, 3.25% in 2028. And the weird one here, or the nuanced one here, is 2.5% if we don't have a new contract that you will get January 1st, 2030. It's a little bit different. They'll look back at your last 12 months of W-2 earnings. I know Kevin's getting all excited. I said W-2, but they'll look back and give you 2.5% on that. That will not include any non-elective contributions of 17% or profit sharing. So, but it is my understanding it's a prepayment of the ratification bonus pay (RBP) that we're calling it today. For the next contract if we were to get that. So
Yeah, that's a big deal. I mean, that's going to motivate negotiations when this time rolls around again. So that's a pretty big deal. But
Yeah.
I can't help but to keep the financial hat on, with the pay. And I will this happened in 2016, when the Southwest got a new contract then, but there's this, I don't know if paradox is the right word, but as income goes up tremendously, which it looks like it has, lifestyle comes up with it, which is fine. But I think the difficult part is the savings has to keep coming up with it as well in proportion. The difficult part about that is that the IRS has these limits that we always have to think about and work around. So I think that pilots really need to be careful about, again, go enjoy yourself, whatever, with the income, but be cognizant that the savings has to come up with it, because what we're always cautious about is a pilot getting to 65, making a tremendous amount of money. And let's say they've only saved, I say only, it's a pretty large amount, but they've saved in the IRS limits. Well, you're going to take a pretty big pay cut now at age 65 if that's what you've done, possibly. So that's kind of what's on our minds. So just be cautious of that with these big pay raises, I think.
And I think that's part of the beauty of this contract. It's a pretty elegant solution that the union or whoever came up with it, maybe Damien Jeanette, I don't know, name drop there.
We love you,
But
Damien.
yeah, we love you.
Yeah.
Hashtag icon.
I think he's married, but go ahead.
but that market-based cash balance plan, the MBCBP, it's a tongue twister. That is part of your point, Charlie, is hey, we've got more income. It's kind of for those higher income professions, and we're going to get 1% right off the bat. There's no electing to get into it or not. You're going to get 1% of your paycheck above the non-elective contribution, which is now 17%. And goes up to 18% in 2026, and the market-based cash balance plan goes up 2%. So you're getting more dollars in qualified entities, which is helpful. I'm sure that our tax man would agree.
Mm-hmm. Kevin, what you got?
I agree. Sorry, I was getting a Teams message or a phone call when you said that, but I'm sure I agree. But
Yes.
Charlie, back to your point about, it's really interesting to me that some clients have expressed a worry and concern because now I'm going to say, have too much money coming in. That's maybe not the right way to put it, but like they're just not used to this reality of having more money and they don't want to blow it. And so what I've kind of come to the conclusion of is you don't always have to talk to a financial plan. That's self-serving to say, hey, talk to your financial planner when you're a financial planner, but even if you just put it on a piece of paper, back of the napkin, whatever, what you might want to do with your savings goals a little bit different. And, we always talk about what percentage of your money are you saving? If you're saving 15%, that's great. If you're saving 20, better. 25, I wouldn't say it's best, but it's pretty doggone good. And so if you're putting it on the back of a napkin, even, at least you're going to be intentional about what you're going to do.
And keeping on the tax train there, getting to the ratification bonus pay, which was pretty darn good, 1.5% 2020. That was low, but then jumps up to 5.6% for 2021, 14%. That's what all the big four got in 2022. And then it overachieved again in 2023 at 23%. The big part of the ratification bonus is the entire portion, the entire tranche is, if I'm using that correctly, is 15% for the NEC. So the other carriers I think they only achieved the retirement pay on their 2023 portions. We got it on the entire 4 years. So big win there. And then this one, we've been foot stomping all over the place. I know the professor will chime in here if I say anything wrong, but this is a big one. Your ratification bonus, you're going to go into swapa.org, go to the resources, and look at the calculators, and it's going to show you what you're going to get. What it doesn't show you is how much is coming out. So remember that the 37% tax withholdings, that's if you've been around a little bit, you've probably heard that they're going to tax us at the 37%, thinking you're a really high earner, which you probably are. But then you have the SWAPA dues at 1%, I believe is coming out of there. The FICA or the OASDI, which you'll see on your pay stub there, which is always funny. the old age survivors and disability insurance.
Nice.
I always crack up when they say old age. I'm like, can you not say old? And anyways, that's 6.2%, which everyone at the first of the year, they always forget, oh yeah, that starts coming out. So your paycheck's always lower. So no doubt your January paycheck was a lot lower than your December one. But that'll be taxed on that, as well as your 1.45% Medicare. So all that adds up to 45.65%. And we're not even talking about state taxes yet. For Coloradans, that's a flat tax, 4.4%. And then you have your 401k contributions. A lot of stuff there coming out. So just be ready for that. If you have $100,000 coming in your RBP and you spend $100,000 already, you're not going to get that. So be aware.
Yeah. I think 50%, it's a good number to hang your hat on, just about, especially if you're in a state that has a state tax, just 50%. Think about that, and don't be, like you said, don't be devastated or surprised when that's what is withheld. And like you said, I think not even including 401k contributions.
Coming back to the idea here is that the bonus dollars. So people think, well, the bonus dollars are just different. I paid 50% whatever on, and I'm screwed. But really, it's all the dollars during the year. They're all the same. None of the dollars look different. So if you're paying a lot of tax on this one check, if you make $500,000 a year, it doesn't matter that 100,000 came in the bonus. It's all the same. So I just wouldn't, it's easy for me to say because I'm not getting the big check with all the big taxes withheld, but I wouldn't take it too hard. At least that's my belief, because it's all going to come out in the wash.
Yeah. And I think that's what I was thinking, Kevin, is that even the old age Medicare tax, whatever the heck we call it, that's just going to be fulfilled or paid sooner. So you'll get a raise. Usually it's paid off, I'd say, for most captains around the fall timeframe. So now it's just going to be paid off earlier, and you'll see that come back in your paycheck. So you'll be kind of made whole there. To Kevin's point, it kind of comes out in the wash. The taxes, we've talked to a lot of captains so far, and I'm like, hey, this 37% tax withholding is a lot. It sounds painful, but guess what? You might be in the 35% tax bracket, depending on how much you fly. You will be, that's a strong word to say when we have to disclaimer everything, but most likely captains are going to be at least in the 32% tax bracket, probably 35, especially for the military folks out there that are getting a pension that stacks up on top of the regular pay, a spouse working, side gig, etc. So not a whole lot extra withholding there that's happening. If you're a mid-level FO or lower, then maybe that's different. But go ahead, KG, what you got?
Yeah, so 168,600 is the amount that you pay the 6.2 on. So I'm still a little bit unsure if you're going to pay that 6.2 on the non-elective contribution, because you're all going to hit that 168,600, and then the 6.2 goes away. But the Medicare is ever present. The Medicare goes on as much money as you make.
Yeah. So the good news here is that, other than, again, mid-level FO or lower, if you are that person making less, then you might have a over withholding situation that if you wanted to revisit your W-4 in the summertime, that might be a solution for you. But otherwise, the withholding is not too far off, and it will come out in the wash by the end of the year, or at least, by the time you pay your taxes. So I think that's the good news there, maybe, hopefully.
Yeah, I think it is. All those buckets fill up.
Yeah.
And then you're going to get it back either in cash or in the non-qualified, which is pretty
And
cool.
let me pile on here just one last time, and then I'll be done. Is that, when you hear 37% tax, you get very upset. Most of our captains are withholding, 25, 26%. So it's really the difference between the 37 and what they normally withhold. We looked at a captain yesterday, and he's, going to be paying about another 13,000 more in withholding on this check than he would have paid on normal checks. So again, you can still get mad, but it's it's the difference between what you usually withhold and the 37%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and for me, just personally, 60% basically of my ratification bonus is going to be gone before I see it. So I keep telling my wife that it's going to be gone.
Rob, what do you, Captain Rubber Mallet, what do you have planned to do with the money? And please, if you're not going to do something exciting with it, make something up.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're going to buy a couch. So is that exciting? I
Ah,
don't know.
Nice.
It's pretty exciting in our household. So
Very cool.
does it have Bluetooth or anything, lights maybe underneath it that will
oh
strobe?
gosh,
or
it doesn't have anything cool like that.
Oh man.
I know. Pathetic.
Oh.
There was a text chain going around. Some people are going to Vegas apparently.
Ah, blackjack.
Yeah, yeah. Sticking with pay. Anything else you want to cover on the RBP and compensation?
Mm-mm.
So just sticking with pay. Another big change is the LCO, the leg change override, which replaces the daily reassignment pay. We weren't going to get into those, but bottom line, from what we're being told, is your pay is going to go up, or your trip for pay, the TFP, is going to go up, likely if you fly the same amount, because of changes. When you get changes, you're going to get paid more. And if you're picking up stuff, likely that those are going to get paid higher as well. With the rigs always stacking, so if you get night ETOPS, night, and reassignment, they all stack on top. Applicable overrides always stack, which is huge. The rig values are unchanged, but under the TA, the rigs will be applied to more pairings than the current or the former CBA. So all that means is the rigs, they used to go out and do something and fly, and things would get changed, and all the changes would get sucked up by the rigs. That's not going to happen as much anymore. So that's big time.
What did he say?
Yeah,
They know.
That's
They know
right.
what I
know.
said.
Cool. That's great.
I still had a hard time, even when I was flying. I was like, "What the heck?" I get rig anyway. It was still hard to follow, even when it had affected me, but even harder to follow now. So I'm glad you're on it. That's good.
Good job, Rubber Mallet.
That's
there will be people way smarter than us on this. I guarantee.
Yeah.
The tournament players, as they say, I'm sure have already got this staged out on how that's going to work. But some people have brought this up, that this might drive the company's going to figure this out and try to figure out how to pay us less, which that's kind of their job. So if they do that, my understanding is it'll drive more stability, which is kind of what we want, and drive better behavior. So
yeah, absolutely.
Little tidbit in there. The only, one of the things we gave up was the line guarantee went down in February, go figure, to 84. But the rest remained the same, 89 for 31-day months and 87 for 30-day months. So big stuff. Disability, Charlie.
Yay.
What did you think of the disability changes?
Phenomenal. Two things that I think are just phenomenal, and that is there's no cap on the 50% disability rates. Awesome. The other one there is that they're going to give pilots the NEC according to their pre-disability income. So those two things alone, and again, there's a lot more, a few more differences, I should say, but those two things alone are game changers and are literally life changing. And what I mean by that is, when we modeled before, we'd go, all right, let's pretend that, we model all kinds of what ifs. Let's pretend you're dead, quite frankly. We do that one for life insurance. Let's pretend now that you are disabled. And it was significantly different. As far as the lifestyle, the savings, the retirement picture changed drastically, because it was basically no savings. Now that is phenomenally different.
Yeah, I think what's big too is no offset for Social Security. That used to be offset, which might be a little bit what you're getting out there, Kevin. And the company, is not going to, if you have another job, say you work for Leading Edge Financial Planning, which is a fantastic firm,
That's right.
And you went out on disability, not that I'm doing that, but if you did, that wouldn't offset your loss of license as well, which is huge. And every 5 years, you get a 5% increase, which isn't going to probably keep up with inflation per se, but at least it's better than what we have, which I don't think anyone else has. The other couple of nuances there: no limit on mental disorders. Those have been a lot, coming up a lot in the press lately. So I think that's huge. And the healthcare coverage following you into disability, either if you're on the regular plan or Benefits Plus, that's going to follow you into disability, and you just keep paying whatever premiums you were paying in the regular plan, nothing. Healthcare coverage, which we didn't have, and life insurance. Now you have the $800,000 which another disability, or excuse me, benefit package there that you're going to pay imputed income on, which is really big for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Might not be huge for some of the younger folks, but for some of the older folks, I think that is big time. And frankly, I'm wondering what Kevin and you, Charlie, have to say on this, but all of this makes our job a little bit easier with our disability planning.
Yep, I agree. And I think with the life insurance, especially, the disability is kind of a no-brainer. And there was really no good solution there anyway recently, because the rates on company disability were so high, people just started dropping it, and rightfully so. But this makes that awesome. Healthcare following you, simplifies things. Life insurance following you simplifies things. I think we'll have some life insurance decisions to make for some people, like, hey, I've got this other policy. Should I drop it? Should I take the 800,000? And so there'll be some decisions there in comparing the taxes you pay on imputed income, comparing that with the rate you might be paying on your other policy is probably an exercise that will go down the path for folks. But these are all great things. And, again, really just really good options there.
Yeah. Circling back real quick, I didn't ask this, Charlie. I was going to ask you this. And Kevin, what do you think? We're going back to the retro bonus or ratification bonus pay. Do you think someone should start to maybe withhold more than they're legally allowed to? A leading question, I know, but any thoughts? Did you guys want to get into that at all?
Oh, you're talking about the tax, to make it for the tax situation?
Yeah, to try to get less withholdings on that 37%.
Right. Yeah, I'll fire off a salvo here, and Kevin, you can follow up. But I know there's been discussion on how to avoid this, changing W-4, changing to exempt even, which I thought there was a great response on one of the forums by Larry Linero, who's a Houston captain. I'm not sure if he's still flying or not, but he had a great post, very thorough. But the upshot, I'll just tell you this, was like, well, that's basically illegal. And if the IRS, I don't know how it works exactly, but if they audit Southwest Airlines and they see that one of their pilots is exempt, they force Southwest Airlines to withhold the maximum amount for the next 3 years. So that could backfire. I'm not sure again, the circumstances on how that happens with the IRS at Southwest Airlines, but I probably would not do that. And he, again, had a great post. We can forward that to you if you want. The other thing, I think the game plan could be, don't do anything for now, but maybe in the midsummer timeframe, like maybe we alluded to earlier, hey, that might be the time where the dust has settled a little bit. You can evaluate your withholdings, maybe make some changes at that time on your W-4. And so that's probably, I think, one of the most, as Kevin would say, the prudent things to do.
Yeah, I think it's prudent. So thank you for remembering me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, as far as what we can do in the summertime, we can look at how much tax you withheld and how much money you're making and make a projection. And we can change some of the levers on the withholding. I'm not going to say we're going to let Charlie have or Rob have 1,000 dependents, but most of our pilots have single on their W-4 and they have no dependents. So this might be an opportunity to change that a little and have less withholding going forward. But yeah, the exempt thing, I know at least one person that's going to try it. I will not disclose names, and it's attorney-client privilege, although neither of us are attorneys. But yeah, I probably wouldn't do that either, Charlie.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting me circle back on that. We'll move on to the market-based cash balance plan. We talked a little bit about it. Charlie, you want me to tackle how that NEC spill money works? Because that's where we say you don't have control of the 1%, which you don't have control of the 1%, but you do have control of that spill cash.
I want you to tackle it mainly because you're really good at that acronym. So give it a go.
MBCPP. All right. So the big foot stomper here is you don't have control of the 1%. You're going to get that. But the NEC, the non-elective contribution spill, which is 17% right now, as we're talking late January here, that's what you can control with your 401k contribution. So if you want to max out as much qualified money into that market-based cash balance plan, I messed it up there, Charlie, then just fully fund your 401k as soon as you can there, and that'll make the NEC money spill over into the market-based cash balance plan when all that's approved. And then you've got the max amount of cash you can get in there, or the max amount of dollars you can get in there. If you throttle back on your 401k, not as much money spills into your market-based cash balance plan. So perhaps if you're younger, you don't want as much, or you have a bunch of pensions or something like that, you don't want as much money going in the market-based cash balance plan because it's a 40-60 equity to bond ratio there, which means you'll probably not do as well as you will if you're in an 80-20 outside in your regular 401k. So if you want more in that qualified money, it's a great thing. Back to Charlie's point, if you're making that much money, you need to find ways to save more, and that's a great option.
Yeah. And if you're 40-60, and this is so obvious, it's frightening, but I've heard so many people mad about the 40-60 that if you have money in the 40-60, just make the 401k a little bit more aggressive, and it's all the same.
Great point. Yeah. Look at it as a whole.
Yeah, and it's going to take a while for that pile of money to be significant. You know, it's not a ton going in there. And in fact, I think the maximum, if IRS rules were the same and this was in play next year, which we hope it will be in play next year, but the maximum would be 16,100 that would go in there for next year. So it's not a ton that's, again, going to affect your overall risk allocation until several years down the road, and then you can kind of make plans to compensate for that.
Couple items that maybe aren't so good that people talked about. The meal plan didn't please a lot of people there, and from what I could tell, you know, the union and the negotiating committee, what they did was they did the polls and they just asked, hey, what's most important, and that's where they tried to spend their capital in the negotiating room. So meals weren't up there. Some of the language when it came to vaccinations maybe wasn't as strong as what some people thought.
So Rob, you know, we're here today and gone tomorrow. The life insurance is something that I think has drastically improved as well. You know, the ability to get 800,000 and also the ability not to get 800,000 and have imputed income. I think that was very good by SWAPA to allow you to go back down to 50 if that's your desire. So 800,000 is still maybe not enough, but it's a good start. And then all of us are brushing up again on our accidental death and dismemberment information. And you know, it's been said that you get both. So you know, it's been said that that's the case. But so again, you know, if you want to learn more about that, we're happy to talk about it, but it's not a subject I think we're going to go too deeply in here, but you have the possibility of 1.6 if you die in an accident.
If you die the right way, right?
Yeah, and that's it. The best answer. It depends, right?
Yeah, depends on how you die. One of the things there I like is there's no health. I can't remember the right phrase there, but
underwriting.
No health underwriting, medical underwriting,
Yes.
whatever. So that's great because some of our folks, they've got an issue or here or there that might prevent, new life insurance. And this is hugely important for them. So that's exciting and a big deal. But before we go, Rob, I'd like to take a shot at the profit sharing rollover.
Yes.
If we're at a good spot for that.
I had missed it. So thank you.
All right, good. This is probably the last thing that we'll have time for maybe, but there is an opportunity if you're under 59 and a half to roll it over, one-time rollover. Now, you've always been able to do it at 59 and a half or over, so we won't go there, address that, but it's a one-time shot. So make sure that no more money is going to go into the profit sharing account. And when I say that, it just depends on your income, depends on your savings, and we can help with that. So if you're certain there's no more money going to the profit sharing account, SWAPA has proposed that you have more investing options on the SWAPA 401k side of the house. And I think that's a true statement. I say it is a true statement because the PCRA is a little more flexible, gives you some more options. PCRA is a personal choice retirement account. Now, I will go back and say that the profit sharing is nothing to scoff at. There's some good choices there. If you really just prefer to leave it there, there's some decent choices there. You can be successful. I think really it boils down to a little bit of personal preference. Again, if you're not using the account anymore, maybe you prefer to have them all in one account there at Schwab in your 401k. That's kind of a nice thing. And so I think that's a little bit of a personal preference. And again, if having more options is important to you, then that is, I think, a true statement, as SWAPA has been saying that because of the flexibility with the PCRA. But the last thing I'll say on that is the rollover process is a little bit more cumbersome than we had hoped. I believe at this point from our experience that when you call Empower to start this process, they're going to mail your profit sharing check to you. There's a certain way to make out the check. There's a certain place to mail it once you get the check. But that's a little unfortunate that they're going to mail it to you. It's a little disconcerting to have a few $100,000 in the mail and a check, but that's what we think is happening right now. Again, if that check were to get lost, there's nobody can cash that or anything like that, but nonetheless, you got a lost check on your hands. That's not great. So do everything through certified mail. We can help with that. As far as mailing it to the right place anyway. So that's a little bit unfortunate, but that's just the way I believe that's going to be. So keep that in mind when you do that. When you do this thing, last thing I'll say here is you need to go on the 401k website and you need to fill out an area that it describes the roll-ins. Maybe it's in the rollover section, but it's essentially a roll-in. Schwab wants to know, is it pre-tax money? Is it Roth money? How much is it approximately? So you need to fill that out on that website so Schwab knows what to expect. If you don't do that, it's not the end of the world, but it will delay things. And Schwab will call you and go, hey, we just got to check. We got to fill this thing out. We got to know what's going on. So that'll delay you more than you want because that check's been out of the market for a while because it's been mailed.
Anything else, Professor, to add?
No, nope. I think Charlie covered it pretty well.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. The last thing I'll just quickly go over, because I didn't cover it, was if you throttle back all that money when we're talking about the market-based cash balance plan, not trying to get that spillover. The one part you need to be cognizant of if you're 50 years old or older is that catch-up contribution of $7,500. The company cannot make that, so they could, in theory, do the rest of the $69,000, but they can't do that part. So if you want that, you have to contribute that. But here's a couple of quotes for you to ponder as you go about your business. The moment you doubt whether you can fly, you cease forever to be able to do it. Anyone know who said that? Peter Pan.
Yeah.
There you go. And this one's by Tennyson. This was a little headier, I guess. The shell must break before the bird can fly.
Ooh,
That's it. We arrived at the final destination. Flight 75, Southwest Contract Special. Thanks for joining us here and bearing with us on this complicated one of the Pilot Money guys. If you have any questions you'd like us to answer, shoot me or Charlie or Kevin an email at Robert or Kevin at leadingedgeplanning.com. Or if you want to sign up for our newsletter, got a lot of great information in there. Go to leadingedgeplanning.com. There's a link there. You can click on, put in your email. We'll send you the newsletter. If you liked what you heard, hit that subscribe button so we can reach more people. And remember, as Emerson said, the world makes way for those who know where they're going. And as we say, so plan accordingly. From all of us here at Leading Edge, cheers.
Leading Edge Financial Planning, LLC is a registered investment advisor. Advisory services are only offered to clients or prospective clients where Leading Edge Financial Planning and its representatives are properly licensed or exempt from licensure. For additional information, please visit our website at www.leadingedgeplanning.com. The information provided is for educational and informational purposes only and does not constitute investment advice, and it should not be relied on as such. It should not be considered a solicitation to buy or an offer to sell a security. It does not take into account any investor's particular investment objectives, strategies, tax status, or investment horizon. You should consult your attorney or tax advisor. The views expressed in this commentary are subject to change based on market and other conditions. These documents may contain certain statements that may be deemed forward-looking statements. Please note that any such statements are not guarantees of any future performance, and actual results or developments may differ materially from those projected. Any projections, market outlooks, or estimates are based upon certain assumptions and should not be construed as indicative of actual events that will occur. All information has been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but its accuracy is not guaranteed. There is no representation or warranty as to the current accuracy, reliability, or completeness of, nor liability for, decisions based on such information. and it should not be relied on as such.